right, so ready to trade those beach umbrellas for a good dose of paranoia.
Sounds like a plan.
We're going deep into some beach-themed horror stories today. So these stories, they're presented as true, but,
Right.
keep in mind it is a horror channel.
So, yeah.
Maybe take it with a grain of salt.
We always have to with those, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to kind of,
Dive in
and see what
explore
what we can find.
Yeah.
So the first one is called Drone Stalker, and it starts out with a picture-perfect beach date.
Classic.
Yeah, under the stars.
Yeah.
Just like a,
Summer night.
Summer night, exactly.
Yeah.
And things take a pretty creepy turn.
I bet.
It starts with this like weird sound that they hear.
Oh, okay.
This kind of like a
Worrisome sound?
yeah, like a worrisome sound, and they're kind of like, what is that? But they try to ignore it at first.
Right.
But then they spot a drone
Oh, no.
hovering overhead,
Okay.
and it's like perfectly aligned with the moon.
Oh, that's creepy.
That image alone, it just
gives me the chills.
it's so it's just unsettling.
Yeah.
And then later, they go home and everything seems fine.
Huh?
But then when they're, later on,
Right.
they discover an AirTag
What?
hidden under their car.
No way.
Yeah, so someone was deliberately tracking them.
Oh, that's messed up.
It's scary to think about.
Yeah, like who would do that and why?
Right, it makes you wonder, like, what was their motive?
Exactly.
Like, was it just a prank?
Or something more.
Or was it something more sinister?
Yeah.
And the story doesn't even end there, because
Oh, no.
weeks later,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who was on the date, he gets some photos
From that night.
from that night.
Oh, wow.
And they're kind of grainy, like you can't really see them very well.
Right.
But it's clear that it's him and his date
Mm-hmm.
in like compromising positions.
Oh my gosh, so this person was like stalking them and taking pictures?
It seems that way.
That's terrifying.
It's really scary to think about the level of planning that went into this,
Right.
Like planting the AirTag, taking the pictures.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
level of creepy.
It's creepy, it really is.
It really is, yeah.
And it makes you think twice about those secluded beach spots.
For sure. Absolutely.
You think you're alone, but you might not be.
Right. Like who's watching you?
Exactly.
It's like a total violation of privacy.
It really is.
Yeah. This story definitely plays on those fears,
Hmm.
of being vulnerable, especially in isolated places.
Right.
But it's interesting how technology adds a whole new layer to that fear.
Yeah.
Like drones, air tags,
Mm-hmm.
Things that are meant to be convenient and connect us can also be used in such creepy ways.
It's true. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's like technology is a double-edged sword.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like a modern twist on a classic horror trope.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to the next story.
Okay, what's next?
This one is called Figures in the Dark.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So this one takes us to a pretty desolate stretch of beach with two friends,
Okay.
Ricardo and the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just looking for a chill night,
Yeah, sounds nice.
just hang out on the beach.
Yay.
But things don't quite go as planned.
Of course not.
Of course not, right?
It's a horror story.
So they pick this beach,
Mm.
and it's already kind of spooky. Like,
Deserted?
yeah, like nobody's there.
Okay.
Like really
Isolated.
isolated.
Yeah.
And they start to hear this weird sound.
What kind of sound?
It's like this faint,
Mm.
kind of metallic buzzing sound.
Okay.
And it's
like electricity.
It's, yeah, like almost like those,
Like a hum.
yeah, like those big overhead lights that you find in like gyms.
Right.
But like out on this empty beach, it's just,
That's so out of place.
yeah, it's totally out of place. It's super eerie.
That's creepy.
And the thing is, they can't figure out where it's coming from.
Oh, so it's like surrounding them.
Yeah, it's like it's all around them, but they can't like pinpoint the source.
Oh, that's so unsettling.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
It's like the sound itself is stalking them.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good point.
So they're already kind of freaked out,
Mhm.
by this weird sound. And then it gets worse.
Of course it does.
Because when they stand up,
Mm-hmm.
the sound gets louder.
Oh, no.
Like it intensifies, almost as if it's reacting to their movement.
Like it's aware of them.
Yeah, it's really creepy. It's like
Oh my gosh.
it's like it knows they're there.
That's so creepy.
And then
Yeah.
they see them. These these figures.
Figures.
Yeah, like tall, dark figures.
Oh, no.
Standing on the sand dunes, just like watching them.
Standing on the sand dunes, just watching them.
Yeah, and they're just like frozen.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh, I'd be terrified.
And then they just bolt.
They run.
They run, they leave their bikes behind.
And bites.
They just run for their lives.
Oh my God.
And they never find their bikes.
What? They just left him there.
Yeah, they were so freaked out. They just
Aw.
ran and never looked back.
That's terrifying.
It's really scary to think about, like, what were those figures?
Right, like, were they even human?
Yeah, and why did they react to the friends' movements?
It's like they were waiting for them to do something.
It's like they were almost playing with them, you know?
Ooh, that's creepy.
It's really unsettling.
It's like they knew those guys were there the whole time.
Yeah, and they were just waiting for the right moment to, like, reveal themselves.
Oh my God, that gives me chills just thinking about it.
It's really effective because it leaves so much to the imagination.
Exactly, you don't know what those figures were.
Right, were they just people messing around?
Yeah,
Or was it something more, you know,
something paranormal.
something unexplainable,
Right.
and we'll never know.
That's what makes it so scary, right?
It's the not knowing that's really unsettling.
Exactly, it's the mystery, the unknown.
Yeah, and it's interesting how all three of these stories so far
Mm-hmm.
kind of play on that fear of the unknown.
Right.
Like the beach at night, it's so vast and dark.
It's like a different world at night.
Yeah, it's like a liminal space
Ooh, I like
where
that.
the familiar and the unfamiliar kind of collide.
Yeah, it's like a threshold
Mhm.
between the known and the unknown.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's what makes it so captivating, but also so scary.
Absolutely, it's that blend of beauty and danger
Yeah.
that makes the beach so alluring.
So, for our final
You
story,
hit me.
this one is called Lagoon Intruders.
Lagoon intrude.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one takes us to a beach house
All right.
with a group of teenagers.
Classic.
Yeah, they're there for the weekend, partying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it kind of introduces a different kind of vulnerability, you know?
Oh, how so?
Like, it's not so much about the isolation of the beach.
Right.
It's more about the vulnerability that comes with letting your guard down,
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
especially when you're in a seemingly safe environment.
Right, like you're in a house.
Yeah, you're in a house, you're with your friends.
Oh, exactly.
You're supposed to be having fun.
Uh-huh.
But then things take a turn.
I bet.
So the beach house,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. You know, it's right on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lagoon behind the house.
Okay.
And that becomes kind of like a point of entry for the intruders.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's like it highlights how vulnerable we can be,
Mm-hmm.
even in places that we think are safe.
Right, because you wouldn't expect someone to come from the water.
Exactly. You're thinking about the front door, the windows.
Right.
But you're not thinking about the lagoon.
Yeah, that's a blind spot.
Totally.
Total. Okay, so what happens?
So the teenagers are, they're partying, having a good time.
Right.
And they see some figures.
Figures.
Yeah, like people on the dock across the lagoon.
Across the lagoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at first, they just brush it off.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, it's probably just some people fishing.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they hear it.
Hear what?
4 distinct splashes.
Splashes.
Yeah, like someone swimming towards them.
Ow.
And that's when they realize
that they're in trouble.
yeah, that these figures aren't just random people.
Right.
They're coming for them.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
It's really scary.
Yeah.
And they just panic. They're like, what do we do?
Right.
And they just scramble to escape.
They run
Yeah, they leave everything behind.
to every
Their
shore.
valuables, their phones, even a spare boat key.
A boat key.
Yeah, which the intruders end up using to steal their boat.
No way.
Yeah, it's like adding insult to injury.
Right. Like, not only do they invade your space,
Yeah.
but they steal your stuff.
And they get away with it.
That's messed up.
It really highlights that feeling of violation.
Yeah,
Like having your safe space invaded.
totally.
And the fact that they stole the boat.
Right.
It suggests a level of planning and
Mm.
familiarity with the house.
Yeah, like how did they know about the spare key?
Exactly. It makes you wonder, were these just random criminals?
Hmm.
Or did they have some kind of inside information?
Yeah, like a connection to the family, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's really creepy.
It's really unsettling.
It is, yeah.
It adds this whole other layer of mystery to the story.
For sure.
It makes it even more disturbing.
Absolute.
So, we've got drone stalking,
Mhm.
mysterious figures on the dunes,
Right.
and a home invasion with a boat getaway.
Not your typical beach day.
Definitely not.
Wow. These stories are wild.
I know, right?
They're really well done.
Yeah, they're really effective.
They really tap into our fears.
Yeah.
Especially about the beach,
Mm-hmm.
A place that's supposed to be relaxing and fun
Right.
suddenly becomes a place of terror.
Yeah, it's like a subversion of expectations.
Exactly.
And what strikes me is how all three of these stories play on the theme of surveillance and that unsettling feeling of being watched.
Right, like you're never really alone, especially in this digital age.
Yeah, it's a very real anxiety.
Absolutely.
And the isolation of the beach setting just amplifies that vulnerability.
Totally, you're away from the crowds,
Mhm.
away from help.
Exactly.
It makes you an easy target.
Right. It's a good reminder to be vigilant.
Yeah, always be aware of your surroundings.
But you know what?
What?
Even though these stories are terrifying,
Yeah,
there's also a strange allure to them.
I know what you mean.
Like we're kind of drawn to the thrill of the unknown,
Right.
the adrenaline rush of fear.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, get treat.
You know you're safe,
Mm-hmm.
but you still get that thrill.
It's a controlled dose of fear.
Exact.
And it's almost cathartic in a way.
I agree.
It helps us process our own fears and anxieties about the world.
Yeah, it's like facing our fears
Mhm.
in a safe environment
Exactly.
through these stories.
So it's like we're safely exploring
Yeah,
the dark corners of our minds
I like that.
through these stories.
That's a good way to put it.
And you know what's interesting about the drone stalker story?
What?
It's not just about the external threat
Oh, right.
of the stalker,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also about the internal struggle
Uh-huh.
that the victim goes through afterward.
Oh, yeah, the psychological impact.
Yeah, the paranoia,
Yeah.
guilt,
The feeling of being violated.
the shattered
Yes.
sense of security.
Exactly.
Like those wounds can be just as damaging as any physical harm.
Absolutely. Trauma can have a lasting impact.
And it can manifest in so many different ways.
Mhm.
You know, it can affect our relationships, our self-esteem, our overall well-being.
It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah, exactly.
The initial event triggers these waves of fear and anxiety that can spread out and affect other areas of our lives.
And it's so important to acknowledge those effects,
Absolutely.
to seek support,
Yes.
and to remember that we're not alone
Yeah.
in dealing with those challenges.
It's so important to talk about these things, to share our experiences and connect with others who've been through similar situations.
Right, there's strength in vulnerability
Exactly.
and in sharing our stories.
It's a reminder that even when things feel dark, healing and hope are always possible.
That's such a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in the context of these beach horror stories.
Right.
They highlight the dangers
Yeah.
and the vulnerabilities we face,
Mm-hmm.
but they also remind us of our resilience,
Our strength.
our capacity for courage and compassion.
And our ability to overcome adversity. That's what makes us human.
So, we can find strength, even in the face of fear.
Absolutely. And we can learn from these stories
Right.
to be more aware, to be more prepared,
Mm-hmm.
but not to let fear control our lives.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance
Right.
between acknowledging the risks
Mm-hmm.
and appreciating the beauty and wonder of the world around us.
It's a beautiful world out there.
It really is.
And we shouldn't let fear stop us from experiencing it.
And the beach itself, with its vastness and power,
Yeah.
its ever-changing nature,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great metaphor for life's complexities.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a place where we can feel small
Mm-hmm.
and vulnerable,
Right.
yet at the same time connected to something much larger than ourselves.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience.
It is.
to be on the beach.
And that's what makes it so captivating.
I agree.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into these beach horror stories,
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage you
Yeah.
to embrace that duality of the beach.
Okay.
Light and shadow, the joy and the fear.
Right.
Be aware, be prepared,
Yes.
but don't let those fears stop you
from living your life.
from experiencing the beauty and wonder that's out there.
Well said.
And keep in mind,
What's that?
sometimes the most terrifying stories
Yeah.
are the ones we tell ourselves.
Oh, that's a good point.
So be kind to yourself,
Yes.
challenge those negative thoughts,
Right.
and embrace the power of your own inner narrative.
You have the power to create your own story.
Exactly.
A story filled with hope, resilience, and adventure.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into beach horror.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious
Stay safe.
and never stop exploring the depths of your own imagination.
Good advice. Yeah, it really is like a psychological ripple effect.
Right.
You know, that initial event, it's like
Yeah.
it just triggers all these waves of fear and anxiety
Mm.
that can really impact like
Yeah.
other parts of our lives.
It's true.
You know, like our relationships and
Absolutely.
self-esteem and even our overall well-being.
Yeah, and it's,
It's tough.
it's important to acknowledge that impact,
Right, sure.
to seek support if you
Yeah,
need it,
right.
and just to remember that
Yeah.
you're not alone in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of strength in
Yeah.
being vulnerable and in sharing our experiences and connecting with others,
Right.
who've been through similar things.
It's true. It's true.
It's a good reminder that even when things feel really dark,
Yeah.
that healing and hope are always possible.
That's a really powerful message,
I think so too.
especially in the context of these stories,
Right, yeah.
Like they highlight the dangers and the vulnerabilities
Yeah.
that we face,
Yeah.
but they also remind us
Yeah.
of our resilience and our capacity for courage and compassion.
Exactly.
We can find strength even in the face of fear.
For sure.
It's really incredible.
And it's all about, kind of finding that balance, I think,
Yeah.
between acknowledging the risks, that
Oh.
are out there, but also appreciating
Right.
the beauty and the wonder of the world around us.
Yeah, and the beach itself, it's such a powerful
Yeah.
place with its vastness and its power,
Mhm.
and its ever-changing nature.
Right.
It's like a metaphor
Yeah.
for life's complexities,
Yeah, it is. It's like
Of course
a
they are.
microcosm of the world in a way. You see
Yeah.
all these different elements, coming together and clashing and
And it's a place where we can feel,
yeah.
small
Right.
and vulnerable,
Right.
but at the same time connected to that,
Yeah.
something much larger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's very humbling
It
to
is.
be on the beach sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what makes it
Yeah,
so captivating.
I agree.
So as we kind of wrap up
Yeah.
our deep dive into these beach horror stories,
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage you to kind of embrace
Yeah.
that duality of the beach,
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
the light and shadow, the joy and the fear.
Right.
Be aware,
Yeah.
be prepared,
Be smart.
but don't let those fears stop you from
Living your life.
experiencing the beauty and wonder
Yeah.
that's out there.
It's a beautiful world.
It is.
And we shouldn't let fear stop us from experiencing it.
You're absolutely right.
And keep in mind,
Yeah.
sometimes the most terrifying stories
Yeah.
are the ones that we tell ourselves.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge those negative thoughts
Right.
and embrace the power
Yeah.
of your own inner narrative,
Yeah.
You have the power to create your own story.
It's true.
A story that's filled with hope and resilience and adventure.
I love that. That's a perfect note to end on.
It is, isn't it?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into beach horror.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious
Be safe.
and never stop exploring the depths of your own imagination.
Great advice. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, it's like we're safely exploring those dark corners,
Yeah.
through these stories.
It's like a safe way to get our
It's adrenaline fix.
totally.
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie, but
Right.
but you're in your living room,
Exactly.
You got your blanket, you got your popcorn.
safe and sound.
Yeah.
But it still makes you think,
Oh, for sure.
It still gets under your skin.
Absolutely. And it makes you appreciate,
Yeah.
the safety and security that we have
Right.
in our own lives.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think so too.
So thanks again for joining us on this deep dive into beach horror.
Always a pleasure.
It's been a creepy one,
It has, yeah.
but fun.
Always fun.
Until next time, stay curious
Stay safe.
and keep those beach umbrellas handy.
Yeah, you never know what's lurking out there. See
Exactly.
you next time.
See ya.